Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then just welcome, and I hope that you will stick around. So in today's video everything will be about steam blocking. I haven't really tried it before, but I thought that this would be a nice opportunity to actually test it out and to do it together with you. And to be honest, blocking isn't something that I do always. I only do it when it's absolutely necessary, for example to make my crochet pieces a little bit longer, or to make the fitting a little bit better, or the drape, or whatever. But I do feel like I should be starting to do it more often, and I have also received quite a lot of questions from you guys asking about blocking and to do some tutorials. But basically the reason why I'm mainly filming this is that I recently made this sweater. You might have seen it on my Instagram because I've been showing the process and the progress in general, but here it is finished, and the only thing is that I can see that with the fitting it's not a perfect fit yet, and I'm hoping that we will be able to solve it by doing the steam blocking, which I will experiment with today. So I hope that we will have fun, and I hope that we will reach the desired outcome that we are going for. But as I said, I haven't done it with a steamer before, and also this yarn that I'm using, or that I was using for the sweater, is acrylic. And I have been doing some research also to make sure that I'm not doing complete nonsense and that I'm not ruining my sweater completely, and I hope that the outcome will be good. But as far as I researched, basically with the steamer you can actually do it also with the regular iron, as long as this iron actually also has some steam, so it can work both. And also the important thing to check out is to have a look at your yarn. In my case I'm using this yarn that I have here, and normally with the instructions that you have together with your yarn you can also see if it's okay to actually steam or iron this type of fabric, and if it's not, then perhaps steam blocking or blocking with iron is not what you should be going for. In my case it says that I shouldn't be ironing, so maybe that's not the best start to try out this blocking process. But what I will be doing is that I will try to not go directly on the material, but I will try to keep a distance a little bit further apart, so we are not kind of like melting the plastic, because it is acrylic, and in this case it almost has 80% or even more of acrylic, so we don't want to melt it. And also this process with acrylic yarn is something that you cannot just go back and fix, because you're basically melting the fabric, so it melts in a way that you are making it to melt, if that makes sense. But yeah, so that's important to check out. So I hope I won't ruin it with that, even though it clearly says that I shouldn't. But you can check it out for your material that you are using. And yeah, besides that, you can also do both. You can basically just hang your desired creation, or the creation that you're working on a hanger, and then try to block it while it's hanging. Or you can basically use a towel, which I'm going to do in this video because I feel like it will be easier to show you how it looks. And you can just lay it out on the floor, then put your crochet piece on top of it, and then continue or start steaming it. And while doing the steaming, I will also show you how I'm doing it according to the research that I did. Is basically as you are steaming it, you can also go through and kind of like stretch it out in the way that you want. So I will try to basically make my arms a little bit longer, and also to try to make the body part a little bit longer. But yeah, this is basically it, and now I think we can get started, and let's hope for a good result. Here you will be able to see live footage of me actually working on this piece. So first, as I said, I just laid out a towel, and then on top of that I laid out my crochet sweater, and then basically I just waited for my steamer to heat up. And by the way, this steamer that I'm using, it's from a brand called Steamery, and I actually got it as a second hand, but I think this brand is quite good. But anyways, once it heated up, I just started to slowly steam it, and in the beginning I was quite worried to actually put the steam directly on the fabric, so I kind of like tried to make a little bit of a distance, approximately 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters from the actual sweater. But then once I realized that this is not working and my sweater is barely getting any heat at all, I became a little bit more comfortable with actually putting the steamer directly on the fabric, and I just started to use it as a regular iron. However, I feel like iron would heat up a lot faster and in a lot higher temperature. Of course, it depends on the temperature that you can actually preset for your iron, but with this steamer I felt like I can just go all in and steam directly on it as much as I want. So first I just started with the body part and I just steamed it as much as I could, and then while doing that I stopped in between to also kind of like stretch it out and make it into a shape that I'm actually going for. And in my case I just wanted for it to be a little bit longer, so I just pulled it towards top and end parts and then steamed a couple more times. And after that I continued on the same side with one of the sleeves, and in this case I really wanted for the sleeves to be longer, so I just went and did that. And as you can see also, while I'm actually steaming it, you can see that even with that the sleeves are slightly becoming longer in that way. And then once that was done, I just made sure that I'm also pulling the length of these sleeves even longer, so kind of like helping the steamer to like work in and do its job a little bit better. And then I did the same thing also with the other sleeve. So also in this case perhaps it's useful to make sure that you are actually making these sleeves in an equal length, because I would assume that while you are stretching them out yourself you might make one longer or shorter depending on how much pressure you're actually putting. But in my case I tried to be as equal as possible for both parts. And then once this side was done, I just flipped my work and did exactly the same thing also on the other side, so to make sure that fabric on both sides of the sweater is worked out evenly. So again I just started with the body part, and in this case you have something to compare to, because even though it got a little bit of a steam from the other side, it still feels like it's not in exactly the same length. So I just made sure that I'm adding extra steam and also stretching it out and then comparing it with the other side, which is already pre-treated. And then I just continued the same thing also with the sleeves on one side and then also on the other side. So that was basically it. And then depending on how much steam you actually put on your sweater, it's always useful just to make sure that you actually dry it out, because after quite a lot of amount of steam it can become quite wet. So just make sure that you also give it some time to rest, but otherwise just try it on and just have a look of how it looks once you are actually wearing it. And in my case this is the final result, and it actually turned out to be perfect already with the first try. But if you feel like you have to apply more steam and stretch out other parts, then just give it another go and try it out another time. But as I said, for me it actually turned out to be quite perfect, and I'm super happy with how it's now looking. And here it is also here, and also from the material itself, now you can see that even when I'm shaking it like this, you can see that it's more flowy, and drape also has definitely improved. There isn't this weird kind of like shape on it, and it also feels a lot more fluffier, not like the regular effect that you get from acrylic yarn once you haven't steamed it, for example. But this is how it looks. It definitely fits me a lot better, especially the sleeves. Now I can see that they're actually in the length that they should be. So even though this was my first time and it was a little bit scary, especially since the instructions on the yarn says that I shouldn't be ironing it, but I guess it doesn't apply for steamer, or if you're using just a lot of steam and perhaps your iron isn't set to the highest temperature and the yarn isn't melting, then everything is all good. But this is how it looks, and I'm really happy with this kind of like tiny experiment, and I feel like this was definitely a success, and I hope that I have inspired you to also try out blocking, and especially with the steamer, because it's so easy. And I also feel like it's much easier with like when I'm comparing with the wet blocking, because this was done within approximately 30 minutes, but of course you can perhaps be quicker or take more time. But anyway, I feel like this was so easy and so fast, and I hope that you managed to learn something, and I hope that you had fun watching this video. But this is it. If you did enjoy, then please give me a big thumbs up, and if you have any other requests for the future videos, then just feel free to share in the comment sections below, as well as if you have any questions, then just feel free to ask, and I will try to answer as soon as possible. And if you're new here, then remember to subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!